Hello and welcome to this Monday edition of the North Shore Drive podcast for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. I'm Chris Carter. He's Ray Fittipaldo. And as always, you can find the show on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this channel to get all of the daily content that comes out from all of our sports writers here at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. As always, today's episode is brought to you by Edgar Snyder Associates. They also do workers' compensation. When you've been hurt on the job, you need to know who decides when you're better, who decides when your treatment's over, and who decides when your benefits are over. The answer might surprise you. It's actually the insurance company's doctors. They won't be on your side. Who will be on your side? Edgar Snyder Associates. Call them today at 1-800-94-EDGAR because they'll fight for the workers' compensation rights that you deserve. And remember, there's never a fee unless they get money for you. Ray, Aaron Rodgers, we talked all offseason about him, all spring about him, all summer about him. We never saw him in the preseason. And we were sitting here saying, like, okay, I guess they don't need to see him in the preseason. And Mike Tomlin said, y'all asked why I was confident in him. That's why I was confident in him. Ray, I was impressed by Aaron Rodgers because not only did he distribute the ball pretty well, 7 different receivers caught passes, all 4 of his touchdowns went to 4 different guys. But he also got hit in this game. I thought if you had told me the Steelers, didn't run the football well, didn't stop the run well, and Aaron Rodgers got sacked 4 times, I would have said they got blown out. But they somehow win. And I think Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith also deserve credit for this.
Yeah, I mentioned this in my report card, Chris, after the game. Could you imagine how good this offense would be if they had some semblance of a running game and they could actually – pass protect? I mean, there were times in the second half of that football game, Chris, where I was watching the sidelines, seeing if Calvin Anderson was going to put on his helmet to take the place of Broderick Jones. I mean, it was that bad. Not only the sacks, but there were bad pressures. Rodgers had to get rid of it a couple times. The pass protection overall wasn't good, but it especially wasn't good from Broderick Jones. So you're right. That makes Rodgers' performance all that more impressive. Just really good stuff. You mentioned it too, Arthur Smith, down up the play action, scheming guys open. It was everything we talked about over the offseason, and it all came to fruition Sunday afternoon at MetLife Stadium.
I mean, it was horizontal passing, vertical passing, Calvin Austin getting worked. Calvin Austin saying, hey, y'all said we didn't have a wide receiver 2. He made a great catch in traffic down the sideline with a guy hanging on him. He had another catch over the middle that was pretty solid. And then his touchdown, he just broke wide open. And Aaron Rodgers just delivering it each time. And then again, finding all these different guys, hitting Jonnu Smith on all those short passes. Forget the touchdown because that was more just like a jet sweep. But the third down conversion where he kind of recognized with emotion, they're in man. Let's switch this up. Quick hits. Jonnu Smith, he gets the first down, keeps the drive alive. DK Metcalf on something. Even Pat Freiermuth, who only had 3 catches for 28 yards, but 2 of those catches were really nice conversions, getting first downs where he just beat the guy to the middle. Aaron Rodgers hit him with a quick pass. Bang, it was 10, 12 yards, and they were moving the sticks. You're right. The Steelers' offense, if the run game can manifest throughout the season, this becomes very dangerous because then you are not able to pin your ears back and say, we're just stopping Aaron Rodgers, which I guarantee you will be a thing if the Steelers' run game doesn't manifest.
Absolutely. I mean, you cannot expect at 41 years old Aaron Rodgers to do this week in, week out. It's not going to work, especially against better football teams. I mean, the Jets were, they were game. I give them credit. Justin Fields played well. They came out and played well today, but they're going to play 12, 13, 14 opponents who are better than the New York Jets the rest of the season, okay? So they got to get some things straightened out. Part of me thinks, okay, they didn't even try to establish the running game. I mean, it just wasn't really a part of their game plan. So, I mentioned this in my report card as well. Arthur Smith said early in the summer, right after they signed Aaron Rodgers, we didn't bring him in here to run the wishbone, right?
Yeah.
So are they really going to be this team that passes 30, 32, 35 times a game? Or are they actually going to try to play to, what they want to be or what they say they want to be and be a physical football team? Chris, I just don't know with the offensive line and how young it is right now, how they're playing, how they look throughout training camp. I don't know if they're that team that can impose their will on other teams. I don't know if they can win games throwing the ball 20, 22, 25 times a game. I mean, the Jets tried to do that today. They weren't successful. That's the way the Steelers want to play. I just don't think they could play that way right now. Maybe they could play that way in October, November, December. Maybe things come around, but it looks early in the season like Aaron Rodgers is going to have to carry this football team.
It certainly does. And maybe that's kind of what they were expecting was like, hey, you know what? We got an experienced veteran, 4-time NFL MVP quarterback who knows how to win football games. Let's just trust him to carry us while we figure some things out, because this is a young offensive line. And, this is Broderick Jones getting his first start at left tackle. Troy Fautano getting his first real start in the NFL, and then with Mason McCormick, Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, they have not started as a unit like this before, and we know just those type of things, they take time to grow. Offensive lines take time to come together, but at the same time, this the way they're building this team is to win from the trenches inside and out, and they got their butts kicked in the trenches. And so for me at least, the fact that they were able to win without the trenches being a dominant factor or even a plus factor, even if they had marginally won the trenches, the fact that they, I'd say not even marginally, they consistently lost the trenches in this game. Yeah. I give kudos to Arthur Smith, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey for the hit. I will say this about the defense. I think that Justin Fields avoided Jalen Ramsey the entire game. When I was looking at, I was trying to think back, what other time was he targeted? I think the only 2 times that he went after Jalen Ramsey was the pass that he broke up on second down on the last drive, and then, of course, the big hit that he delivered to Garrett Wilson to force an incompletion. Jalen Ramsey, people were asking, where is he? I'm like, he's actually everywhere. They're just avoiding him, but in the end, he did make the big play that won the game.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey said after the game, he was proud of himself. This was the first time he's ever played every position in the secondary in the same game. So he's moved around before. He's played all those spots, but never in the same football game. And, he said he had a conversation with Mike Tomlin. He knew he was going to be called upon to do that. And I thought, it was noteworthy after the game that Ramsey said he was proud of himself because it is something new that he's trying to master. And I think that's going to be his role for the entire season. So, yeah, Chris, the defense played like crap for 58 minutes, I would say, but actually those last 2 drives, they stood up when they had to, and Jalen Ramsey closed the game. That's what you're supposed to do. You're paying him, what, $21 million on this contract for this year. He's supposed to make plays like that, and he showed up at the right time.
Flip it back to the offense, because we will spend the next segment talking a lot about the defense. I was in general impressed by how they use different guys. I just don't know. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers himself is sustainable. Like four touchdowns a week is sustainable. But I do think that if, one, you need Aaron Rodgers and I think DK Metcalf to stay healthy. But if those 2 guys stay healthy, and I think the weapons that they have on offense from Calvin Austin, we didn't even see Roman Wilson make a catch in this game. And I think that he could have been a playmaker had he just been targeted. But I think with Aaron Rodgers, so long as he's healthy and DK Metcalf is a number 1 wide receiver that defenses have to honor, you're going to see more of those one-on-ones and those zones that get opportunities for guys like Austin, like Jonnu Smith, like Pat Freiermuth. We didn't even see Darnell Washington get his red zone target in this game. Like Jaylen Warren coming out of the backfield. We didn't even see Kenneth Gainwell get too involved in the passing game. They hit him with a couple pop passes. But if this was the floor for what the Steelers want to do conceptually, it's a very good start. Now, again, the floor isn't 4 touchdowns. I'm not talking about the overall production of touchdowns. Right. I'm talking about just simply conceptually what the Steelers make you have to honor. And in that respect, I thought if Aaron Rodgers is healthy and his team is healthy, that can be a dangerous factor for the Steelers this season throughout.
Well, just think about how wide open those guys were on play action. Just think about how much better you would be if you could actually run the ball.
Yes.
And opponents would actually have to respect that. I mean, the early touchdown to Skowronek said he thought they brought a nickel pressure there. That's why he was wide open. But on those other ones, Austin was wide open a couple of times. Warren was wide open on that touchdown. Better teams are not going to respect the Steelers' play action game if they can't stop running the football. But, listen, for 1 week, Arthur Smith dialed it up really nice. Aaron played great. And how about the receiver angle to all this as a sidebar?
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about No number 2 receiver. They got terrible depth there. Well, Calvin Austin showed up. Ben Skowronek showed up.
Ben Skowronek.
And listen, they didn't even have to go to Scotty Miller and Roman Wilson. I bet you Scotty Miller and Roman Wilson played less than Connor Heyward did. I don't remember seeing Roman Wilson out there for more than 5 or 7 snaps. Miller might have played 1 or 2. We'll get the snap count early in the morning when the NFL releases that. But they really did it with 3 receivers. And like I said, Arthur Smith just did a tremendous job of using all of his personnel, receivers and tight ends included.
I think that's going to be a big story to this season if they're able to work that in. They do need to fix other things, including that run defense. We'll talk about that next here on the North Shore Drive podcast from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Chris Carter, Ray Fittipaldo. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the North Shore Drive podcast from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Chris Carter, Ray Fittipaldo, here giving you your Week 1 reaction to the Steelers' 34-32 win over the New York Jets. Today's episode is also brought to you by ZipRecruiter. If you're having trouble finding the right people to hire and you're tired of sorting through endless resumes, the future of hiring looks so much brighter because ZipRecruiter's latest tools and features help speed up finding the right people for your roles so you save valuable time. You can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter's new advances, you can easily find and connect with qualified candidates in minutes. See a candidate you're really interested in, you can unlock their contact info instantly because ZipRecruiter, you can save time hiring. 4 out of 5 employers who use ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. If you use ZipRecruiter.com/audio right now, you can try it for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. We also want to thank Sabinas, Kane, and Gallucci, Pittsburgh mesothelioma and asbestos lawyers with over 85 years of experience. Call them right now for a free consultation or visit sdklaw.com. All right, now that we're through that, Ray, let's talk about this run defense. I'm still looking at the film to determine what exactly was happening that freed up a lot of things. But a big thing that I asked all week, and you were there, I was asking it, Ray. I asked Mike Tomlin, I asked Teryl Austin, I asked Keeanu, Benton, I asked several people, what can be done differently to stuff the QB option? Because you know it's coming. With Justin Fields and Breece Hall in the backfield, you're not guessing. That is coming. And a lot of the time they said, hey, it's the new personnel we got up front, but we're not going to divulge too many of the schematics they're going to take it. Well, whatever schematics they didn't divulge, maybe they need to find new ones because the Jets were able to run efficiently over the Steelers, and a lot of it from the QB option. Even when they weren't doing the QB option, they were still running the ball well. I'm not going to say that was the only thing that killed them, but especially when Justin Fields and Breece Hall were in play, it seemed like the team had a hard time locking it down. Now, they did in the end. That third down stuff was huge where they sniffed it out. But I do think that should be a warning sign because I guarantee you there's a Raven scout watching this game and being like, yep, They have not solved it yet. We're going to use this.
Chris, let me save you some time. And I know you're going to pour over the tape, but let me save you some time. The defensive line stunk.
They got their butts kicked. Oh, my gosh.
I was focused on Cam Heyward just because of the storyline, right? How's he going to react? He really didn't get the contract he wanted. How's he going to look? I don't know if I just saw the New York Jets double team him more than once all game. Getting single blocked easily in the run game, getting single blocked easily in the passing game. He didn't look good. It's only one game. I'm not going to press the panic button, but it's a concern for me going forward. I'm just going to say that right now. Now, the bigger concern, and we've touched on this at various times, Keanu Benton's a second-round pick.
Yep.
When is he going to start playing better?
Yep.
We know what Isaiah Loudermilk is, right? I mean, he's playing for Derrick Harmon. What's going on with Keanu Benton? This was a storyline on draft night. Chris, I don't even know if he's a nose tackle. They're playing him at nose tackle.
I was wondering.
He's not the run plugger that you really need in those situations when you're getting gouged the way they were getting gouged today. So I don't know if they're going to revisit trying Y.A. Black there. They really haven't tried him much there, but that guy's at least a big body. But they got to do something. I mean, 299 yards against the Ravens in the playoffs. They spent the entire offseason trying to address it, and you come out with that performance.
Yeah,
it was pathetic.
It was bad. And to your point, like my obviously the defensive line got whipped. I don't need to see the tape to see that, but I want to see where were other things that they were trying to do. What schematically alignments that they try to switch up to try to get any other angles? Because you're right, Keeanu Benton got pushed off the ball. Isaiah Loudermilk got pushed off the ball. I did notice that Yahya Black was double teamed a lot. And at least he wasn't moved, but he didn't get to make a factor either. But when you're double teamed, the biggest thing is you can't get blown backwards. And those guys were getting washed down the line or pushed back. And I know a lot of people were coming after Patrick Queen and Payton Wilson. And listen, they didn't have a great games either. But you're compromised as a linebacker when the offensive line's just running up to you or your defensive line's getting pushed back into you, because that's where the one-on-ones, especially against the QB option, have to be won, right? On the stop. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the biggest concern for me, I'm going back to Heyward. We're skipping around here because there's so much to cover with how poorly they played. You remember, like, even last year, but Cam Heyward in his prime could just bull rush the heck out of somebody. And he can get to the quarterback. If he didn't get there, he can wreak havoc, and somebody else would come in to clean it up. I didn't see that one time from him today.
Agreed.
He just wasn't getting off blocks, and you're right about, the second level stuff. You're getting double teamed. They're in the laps of the inside linebackers. I didn't think it was a great game for Queen or Wilson either, but when your defensive line is playing that poorly, it's hard to look good too. So just a major concern going forward. I'm sure there's some of it has to do with scheme, but Cam Heyward was talking about this after the game. They got to find a way to get off blocks. He said they were too concerned early in the game with maybe trying to read things. They just got to get off blocks and make plays. It's as simple as that.
Mike Tomlin was saying that before. He said it all this week. He said it in the pregame talk with Sal Panettone on the pregame. He said it in the halftime talk. We got to get off blocks and make tackles. And sometimes it is that serious. It is that simple. Sometimes you just need to win your one-on-ones. You're supposed to be that good. And granted, Derrick Harmon, he's supposed to be a factor in this. He's not here. But that's no excuse. You brought in Dan Aquale. Dan Aquale didn't look like much of a difference maker. You started Isaiah Loudermilk. He wasn't much of a difference maker. And the main time I saw Cam Heyward get off a block was late in the game on that second down run when I think it was Breece Hall gets the handoff and he wins his gap, takes him down, stuffs him, makes it a 3rd and 4 or so. And then you saw on that next third down, the Steelers defensive line kind of just stood up, did what it was supposed to do. And then what did you see from that? You saw Alex Highsmith coming in and crushing Justin Fields, even though he didn't have the ball, and then allowed Chuck Clark to come in and just shut down the run play. When that happened, they made plays. And I think that's the bottom line. This defensive front has to keep these linebackers clean for them to stuff the run. And I think the Steelers may or may not have a little bit of a break here. I haven't studied all these other teams, but when I look at their next few opponents, whether it's Sam Darnold in the Seahawks, Drake May in the Patriots, J.J. McCarthy in the Vikings, or Joe Flacco in the Browns, I don't see too many running quarterbacks that are going to be doing the QB option a whole lot to do that. But they are coming on this schedule. You're going to have back-to-back weeks at some point where you face Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. You think those guys with their athletic abilities aren't going to do that concept? And you barely were able to win against Justin Fields. Those guys are the best of the best at doing that and just playing normal quarterback. So there's going to be a lot of problems if this isn't solved. So the Steelers need to find offense in the trenches on both sides of the ball coming out of week 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Cam Heyward talked about this after the game. You can learn a lot from a loss, and sometimes you can learn a lot from a victory too. And it's nice to learn from victories like this. So they did not play well. They got a ton to clean up before the Seahawks game. You're right. They don't have to worry about running quarterbacks anymore, but Seahawks can run a downhill power game.
Kenneth Walker's coming.
So I'm still concerned about this run D going into this game. Like I said, lots to fix, but kind of disheartening when you spend the entire offseason talking about something, trying to address it, and you go out there and show out with that performance. Just wasn't nearly good enough.
Agreed. I think there's definitely some warning signs, but to Cam Heyward's point, it is better to learn from a win than it is to learn from a loss, because at least this is one of those things where, hey, we could be looking back in the schedule come December and January, Ray, and we're looking at all the playoff scenarios, and you can look back at week 1, and if the Steelers are in the hunt, that's an AFC win, no matter which way you look at it, no matter how they got it, it's a win. So they need to stack up plenty more wins. We'll keep you covered all week long. I'll be in the Steelers locker room later today, this Monday, to see what the Steelers have to say after they've had a day to lick their wounds and kind of get back at it. Even though their wounds come from a win, they definitely don't come out of this game clean. We'll have our full team giving you our breakdowns all throughout the week and getting you ready for week 2 against the Seahawks. Keep it here with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Subscribe to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette by going to post-gazette.com to read all of our post-game work, Ray's grades, Jerry's feature, Brian's insights. I'll also have my Carter's critique out there on specific things that worked for the Steelers in this win, and then we'll have coverage all week long for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Keep it here with the North Shore Drive podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the North Shore Drive podcast from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all the sports coverage from the Post-Gazette that we have to offer, visit post-gazette.com.